So he called us up and said, you know, let's record some music together.
Yeah, I want to go to you did a showcase for Roadrunner with music. At what point you released the EP for the Hot Topic store, I think?
Yeah.
How did that came to life? That's
the EP.
Yeah.
I think it was really, you know, the album got delayed a few times.
The actual album that is released now, that was.
Well, yeah, it hasn't been released yet. It comes out in February, and it was supposed to come out in May, and then it's been pushed back a couple of times for various reasons. And I think it was, we wanted to put something out there, but we wanted to not put the fall album out until we had more time to let people know we exist and, you know, do interviews such as this and more promotion, so that it wasn't just another record sitting on the shelves that nobody knew was there. So we thought it was a good idea to put out an EP, and Hot Topic was very supportive and said, you know, because there's not that many places to get music nowadays, and it just seemed really appropriate.
But were you already in touch with Roadrunner at that time, or was it okay?
Yeah, it was definitely something that it was like, you know, we need to put something out so that people can hear something, because, you know, they've been waiting for so long for the album to come out. So it was a way to, I think, kind of tie everybody over and give people a taste of what we were before the album comes out.
Okay, can you describe the first talk when you did the showcase with Roadrunner? They approached you to say they were interested in you. What was the first meeting you had with one of the guys, and what did they say to you? What were their plans with you?
Well, that was a while ago. It was originally, I had, you know, I met this production company. They're called Dirty Icon, who has Logan Mader and Lucas Banker, and they're the ones that pretty much found us. And Roadrunner is kind of always keeping their ear to the floor, trying to find you know, new stuff that's going on. And so they'd always ask Logan, like, what are you working on, you know?
But for example, maybe it's good to start with Logan and Lucas. What was their reaction to when they heard you for the first time, when they talked to you?
Well, it was really kind of a twist of fate that Lucas found the CD, because, like I said, I would always play in these other bands, and it was about 6 months after one of the bands I had been in broke up. And in those bands, every time I joined a band, I'd be like, here's what I do on the side, you know, here's my other project. And 6 months after the band broke up, I got a call on my lunch break with this guy who was just like almost frantic. He was just like excited, and he was like, I understand what you're trying to do. Like, I get it. I love this kind of music. I see what you're doing, and I see where it can go, and all this kind of stuff. And after hitting so many brick walls and kind of being at the point where I was almost ready to kind of give up on doing it professionally, to get that validation from somebody who's in the industry, who gets hundreds of demos every month, that this one stood out. And so, you know, apparently one of the guys that I was in a band with knew Lucas and passed him the CD because he knew he kind of appreciated the same kind of music. So he called us up and said, you know, let's record some music together. And so that's when I met Logan, who's Lucas's partner, and we did like 2 separate demo sessions. We did like 5 songs, and then 6 months later we did 6 or 7 more songs.
But it was just when you were on your own with your brother recording music?
No, I think at that time the only person I was, well, no, yeah, it was my brother was still playing drums. Billy had already joined the band. He was in since like 2002, and it was right before I had met Constantine, who plays keyboards. So those first demos, I pretty much did all the keyboards and everything. And then by the time we got around to the second session of songs, that's when I met Constantine and he joined the band. I think he may have played on some of that early demo stuff too.
Were your demos were self-produced? You recorded them yourself as well?
Well, I would record demos at home, but the first, we put out an independent release, and that was recorded by Lucas and Logan of Dirty Icon. So, you know, it was from those 2 sessions. We put it together and we made a full album and put it out ourselves and everything. What
was their approach? I mean, you've done a lot of stuff yourself. What was their approach on how it should sound, and did it fit it with your ideas about that?
Well, I think we talked a lot about it in the very beginning, and I think they just kind of asked me what I liked. You know, there wasn't something that they were trying to create. It was really, I think, something that they had found and wanted to bring it to the surface, because it was, you know, nobody knew about it. And so I think they were just kind of asking me and kind of trusted my musical instincts. And, you know, they would ask me, like, what kind of guitar sound are you looking for? And I would tell them, you know, something that's kind of raw but not too distorted, something that's clean and discernible when you listen to bands. A lot of bands are way too distorted, you can hardly tell what they're playing. And I wanted to keep it kind of clean, but still have a mean sounding guitar. And you know, so we kind of talked about it and got on the same page.